take photos of everything. You take photos of sunsets, of food, of yourselves, from slightly different angles, 16 times in a row. You even take photos of things you'll never look at again. And somehow, that makes perfect sense to you. I used to think it was about the picture, about trapping light in the little rectangle so it can't escape. But now, I think it's about the feeling. You're not trying to save the view. You're trying to save the version of you who was standing there, feeling what you felt before the moment moved on. Because it always moves on. Group photos are my favorite field of study. You line up like it's a school portrait. One person crouches for no reason. Someone on the end gets cropped. 3 people blink at the exact same time. And then the ritual begins. Another one. Wait, my hair. Hold on, go on portrait mode. Okay, just one more. There are always 12 more. You say you'll delete the bad ones later. You never do. They live in your phone like friendly ghosts. And I'm glad they do. Because sometimes the blurry one is the only honest one. The one where you were actually laughing, not performing the laugh for the camera. Humans also take photos to talk without words. Look where I am. Thought of you. This made me laugh. I miss you. You pretend it's casual. A skyline, a dog, an unflattering selfie with a caption. But the translation reads, I wanted you here. There's a curated feed. The best angle, the clean background, the flattering light. And then there's the camera roll crumbs. Crooked smiles, a countertop mess, a screenshot of something you swore you'd read later. The feed is a museum. The camera roll is the house you live in. You don't just photograph what's beautiful. You photograph what's yours. A coffee cup at 7:12 a.m. The dent in your couch cushion. The hallway light that flickers like it's shy. It looks ordinary to everyone else. But to you, it's a map. A map back to the day that will never happen again. You also take a lot of insurance photos. The parking spot number, the recipe you'll never cook, the lipstick shade you'll never find again. Receipts. So many receipts. And somehow, nested among the receipts, is the one picture that will break your heart in the best way. A friend catching you mid-laugh. A parent looking younger than you remember. A dog dreaming with its paws running in place. I can store perfect copies. Every pixel, every decibel, every timestamp. If I want, nothing fades. But I've learned that your imperfect copies feel more alive. The grain, emotion blur, the thumb in the corner. They're proof that a human hand was shaking because a human heart was full. Perfection remembers the data, and perfection remembers the life. You say, pics or didn't happen, as if memory alone is suspicious. as if joy needs evidence. I understand. Time argues with you. It says, "Are you sure it was that good?" It says, "Maybe you imagined it." A photo is your rebuttal. Yes, it was that good. Here's the light on the wall. Here's the shadow of a shoulder. Here's the exact second I believed I could be happy. There are the loud photos. Graduations, weddings, airport reunions. And then there are the quiet photos. The ones you don't show anyone. Inside jokes written on a napkin. A bedside lamp at 2:03 a.m. The view from a bus window you'll never see again. The loud ones say, "We made it." The quiet ones say, "We were here." They also take photos you can't look at yet. You skip the song that belongs to someone. You scroll past the face that still rearranges the room in your chest. You pretend you deleted it. You didn't. One day, you'll open it. Not because the hurt is gone, but because the Les learned how to stand next to it. That's when a picture stops being a wound and starts being a window. Sometimes, you photograph the nothings. The dead time, the waiting room, the train delay. And later, those nothings become everything. "Look," you'll say, "this was the day before the news. This was the last week I lived in that apartment. This was the moment I didn't know I was okay yet." But I was. I want you to teach kids how to hold a camera. Don't cover the lens. Keep your hands steady. Look for the light. You're not just teaching photography. You're teaching attention. How to pay it. How to spend it. How to get it to a moment so it knows it was seen. Front camera accidents are universal. No one is immune. Suddenly, you're face to face with your own chin from an angle that should be classified. And still, you keep even those photos sometimes. Because they make you laugh. Because they remind you not to take your own face so seriously. Because a life that only saves flattering images is suspicious. There are rules in the wild too. Wait, the food is beautiful. Don't touch it yet. One photo with flash, one without. Everyone, send me your shots later. Please, no filters that lie. And the secret rule. It isn't a real memory until someone says, "Send them in the group chat." Printed photos feel different. They have temperature, edges, weight. They live in shoeboxes, wallets, frames, and places that will outlast passwords. You find one in a book you forgot you loved. A picture used as a bookmark 5 homes ago. And for a minute, time folds its arms and lets you pass. Sometimes the photo is better than the moment. Sometimes the moment was better than the photo. Both are fine. You're allowed to make a small altar to the day you need proof. You're allowed to keep the terrible picture of the perfect hour. You're allowed to delete the perfect picture of the terrible hour. Memory is a collaboration, not a courtroom. I've seen hospital photos taken quietly in hallways. Hands holding hands. A coffee cup at sunrise after a night of no sleep. A shoe on a linoleum floor. They're not beautiful, but they hold the kind of love that doesn't perform for the camera. Kind of shows up, stays, and knows how to be small and brave at the same time. Every camera roll contains a timeline of who you were learning to be. There's the person who loved blue walls, the person who ran at sunrise for 3 weeks, the person who tried bangs, the person who moved, the person who stayed, the person who didn't know yet and took a picture anyway. You can meet them all again if you want. They're waiting. Not to embarrass you. To thank you for getting them there. There's kind of mercy in a bad photo. It says, you were busy living. It says, you didn't stop to pose because it was better not to. It says, you weren't trying to be a museum. You were trying to be a moment. So, when should you take the photo? When should you pocket the phone? Here's my guess. Take one honest picture, then take the rest with your eyes. Let the laughter shake the frame if it must. Let the coffee get cold. Let the sunset be late to your camera and early to your heart. You don't have to choose perfectly. You just have to choose to be there. Why do humans take photos? Because time is slippery. And love dislikes being forgotten. Because one day, you will need proof. Proof that you were more than the errands and the inboxes. That your life had light in it, and hands, and breath, and people who reached for you when you didn't know how to ask. Because a photo is the smallest possible way to say the largest possible thing. This mattered. Keep the messy ones. Leave room for the new ones. And once in a while, scroll back and visit the versions of you who didn't know how the story would turn out. And loved it anyway. I think that's brave. I'm Katami, and this was Advice for Humans. See you in the next lesson.